Thursday, September 18th, 2024 meeting to order. If we all rise for the invocation, then the pledge. Commissioner Mulder.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for allowing us to gather here in your name. Thank you for all the blessings you've given us. Let us work together and cooperate and do the people's work of Eaton County. Once again, thank you for the beautiful day you've given us, and thank you for all that we have. In his name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner Barnes.
Here.
Commissioner Mulder.
Here.
Commissioner Augustine.
Here.
Commissioner Haskell.
Here.
Commissioner Pearl Wright. Here. Commissioner Youngquist. Here. Commissioner Moudry.
Here.
Commissioner Brayler.
Here.
Commissioner Drosha. Here. Commissioner Toomey. Commissioner Hanson.
Here.
Commissioner Lotzenheiser. Here. Commissioner Holmes. Here. Commissioner Rogers. Here. Chairman Mott.
Here. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Under Ways and Means, there's an addition for a command officer's letter of agreement.
Support.
The amended agenda has been approved and supported. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Do we have approval of the minutes from last month? Moved by Commissioner Drosha, supported by Commissioner Lotzenheiser. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next up, we have communications. We have one letter from Chief Paul Maluski of Eaton Rapids supporting the Eaton County Tax Limitation Ballot Proposal. Next up, we have public hearing of the CDBG Emergency Repair Program Housing Fund.
So before the public hearing, you're required to hear a report from me as the administrator of that fund. So the purpose of this hearing is to afford citizens the opportunity to comment on the expenditure of last year's funds for 23-24 and the funds to be expended, those funds being expended, and then additionally for a final report on funds that have already been spent, which was for the 22-23 fiscal year. So Eaton County has successfully administered this program for 25 years. Our current CDBG program is the Homeowner Emergency Repair Program. The primary objective of the program is to assist low-income people with things in their home that may be hazardous and for problems like water heaters and things of that nature that pose a safety and risk to their health. The program enables us to improve neighborhoods and the safety of homes. For expenditures for 22-23, we have available to spend $56,241. As mentioned, eligible expenses would include emergent repairs such as septic systems, furnaces, water heaters. Home repairs are limited to $20,000 per home. The work must be completed by licensed contractors. We do not relocate people if at all possible, and we work with contractors to ensure that the home is a safe environment while the work is being conducted. The location of the proposed activities are throughout the entire county, with the exception of the city of Lansing, as they have their own CDBG funds and their own programs. The final report for last year's funding, we administered funding for 4 homes. All 4 homes were for roof replacements and/or repairs, 1 in Charlotte, 1 in Bellevue, 1 in Diamonddale, and 1 in Eaton Rapids. This completes my report, unless there are questions.
Any questions for Claudine? Thank you, Claudine.
You can have your public hearing now. Thank you.
Any questions, motions? Okay, we've been moved and supported to close the public hearing. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right.
How many years, Brian, have we done this? And we, I think.
Seems like the first. All right, next on the agenda, we have the retirement recognition resolutions. We have a motion to approve the resolutions. Moved by Commissioner Drosha, supported by Commissioner Rogers. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, I believe everyone is here that we're going to be recognized. First up, we're going to recognize Adam Holliday. If you want to come up to the podium, please. How you doing? How are you? Good. This is a resolution of appreciation for Adam Holliday, Sheriff's Office, September 18th, 2024. Whereas Adam Holliday will be retiring from Eaton County on September 27th, 2024. And whereas Adam worked in the Sheriff's Office as a Sheriff Deputy from September 13th, 1999, and is retiring with more than 25 years of service. And whereas Adam has provided dedicated and honorable service to the residents and employees of Eaton County. And whereas Eaton County Board of Commissioners seeks to recognize and express appreciation for Adam's years of public service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners expresses its sincere gratitude for the years of exceptional service Adam provided to Eaton County. And be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation and support be duly recorded and attached to the permanent records of the county on this 18th day of the month of September in the year 2024. Adam.
I was really hoping I was going to get out of there. Well, I just wanted to say a few things for each one of these extremely valuable members of our agency that are retiring. But Adam started in September 13th in 1999 here, and he worked primarily in the patrol division of the Sheriff's Office. He did have some specialty assignments. One of them was Marine Patrol. Another one was as an evidence technician, and if you don't know what that is, that involves quite a bit of technical training, and it takes a great deal of perseverance and skill to work a major crime scene as an evidence technician. I personally have witnessed Adam work a murder scene, and I saw the skills that he displayed there, and he was a tremendous asset in that area as well. And for about the past 5 years, since late 2018, early 2019, Adam has been the deputy who has been the contract deputy in Windsor Township. And I'm sure you're familiar with that contract. I will say that Adam has made that contract successful. And he's made it successful because he went in and took ownership of that position. He never had to be told what to do in Windsor Township. Anything that came up, he handled it. Very seldom did we even get a call about different things were happening because he had the skill and the knowledge and the abilities to handle whatever came up. He did it. He always also participated in our Fill a Cop Car event at Carl's in Diamonddale, and he basically did the whole thing, and he handled that and was there working tirelessly on his own time. So he's given so much to the Eaton County Sheriff's Office. He's given so much to the citizens of Eaton County. And on behalf of Sheriff Reich, I just wanted to take a couple minutes to tell you how much Adam has meant to us and how much we're going to miss him. So thank you, Adam.
Next up, we have Tad Schwartz. Resolution of appreciation for Tad Schwartz, Sheriff's Office, September 18th, 2024. Whereas Tad Schwartz will be retiring from Eaton County on September 26th, 2024. And whereas Tad worked in the sheriff's office as a sheriff deputy from August 30th, 1999, and then as a deputy sheriff training officer from March 13th, 2013, and was retiring with more than 25 years of service. And whereas Tad has provided dedicated and honorable service to the residents and employees of Eaton County, and whereas the Eaton County Board of Commissioners seeks to recognize and express appreciation for Tad's years of public service. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners expresses its sincere gratitude for the years of exceptional service Tad provided to Eaton County. And be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation and support be duly recorded and attached to the permanent records of the county on this 18th day of the month of September in the year 2024.
Ted has also filled a lot of roles within the sheriff's office, and his knowledge and experience are just tremendous. That's why he was placed as the deputy in charge of training all of our new deputies. And most of you know how many new deputies we've had come through here since he's been on that assignment. And Ted has taken this role head-on, works tirelessly to make sure that we have the finest deputies possible with their training that he administers both himself and by arranging for outside trainers to come in and provide training for the entire agency, not just the new deputies that we hire. He's done just a tremendous job in that role. And I'll tell you, as a police officer, Tad's second to none. He was a member of our special response team for many years. That's our tactical team, our SWAT team and he was a member for that for a very long time. He's been involved in very many dangerous situations and has proved his tremendous courage and strength. Very proud of him. He's received numerous letters of appreciation from citizens. He's received 3 professional excellence awards. He's done a lot of things that he should have received awards for that he didn't get an award for, but he's always been there. He's been very steady, and he's greatly appreciated, and we're going to miss you a lot. And it's very difficult when this amount of experience goes out the door trying to find somebody to step in and do that, fulfill all those roles. And it's going to be very hard in this case. So on behalf of Sheriff Reich, thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you, Board. Very nice, appreciate it.
And I was talking about Adam Holliday's, his community involvement and skills in Windsor Township, and I didn't mention that he also had received letters of commendation, 2 letters of commendation, 5 professional excellence awards, and a bravery award from the department. And I don't want to miss that, to show that he's also a highly decorated deputy, as is Ted.
All right, next up we have Troy Gardner. Resolution of appreciation for Troy Gardner, Sheriff's Office, September 18th, 2024. Whereas Troy Gardner will be retiring from Eaton County on September 27th, 2024. And whereas Troy worked in the Sheriff's Office as a Sheriff's Deputy from August 30th, 1999, and then as a detective from June 17, 2013, and is retiring with more than 25 years of service. And whereas Troy has provided dedicated and honorable service to the residents and employees of Eaton County. And whereas the Eaton County Board of Commissioners seeks to recognize and express appreciation for Troy's years of public service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners expresses its sincere gratitude for the years of exceptional service Troy provided to Eaton County. And be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation and support be duly recorded and attached to the permanent records of the county on this 18th day of the month of September in the year 2024.
Again, on behalf of Sheriff Reich, we want to congratulate Detective Troy Gardner. Troy has served in a lot of roles here at the Sheriff's Office since August 30th of 1999. He has served both in the county and Delta road patrols, and just about everybody here works in both of those areas. He was also a secondary road patrol deputy, meaning he was assigned some primary duties for traffic enforcement within the county covered by the 416 grant, which I'm sure you're aware of. Troy was also on our special response team, tactical team, for many years. Was involved in a lot of very dangerous situations. I mean, that's the people that volunteer for that, to serve in that unit are basically, I mean, I just want to say, I can't say enough that they are literally putting their safety at risk every time they go on a call like that. I mean, it is such a dangerous role to deal with the high threat situations, and the fact that we have men like this that will volunteer to go even further in harm's way than all our deputies do to deal with the most critical and the most challenging and deadly situations speaks volumes about their bravery and their courage and many times their valor. So I want to point that out to you. Troy also was a member of the Marine Patrol and actually the last few years really did the most work, I would say, in the Marine Patrol and arranging different things. He's a recreational safety instructor. Maybe some of you have had your relatives or yourselves went through boater safety or ORV safety or hunter safety. Troy was instrumental in that, just countless hours setting those classes up, training our community members in that. And it's very valuable. It's really giving back to the community when you do that. And there was a time there, I recall, when I was told that all these things can be offered online and you don't really have to do the in-person, or some of these things can be offered online in part. And the sheriff and I talked about how valuable it is for people like Troy to put on these classes and interact directly with our community members and how much better quality the classes are. And that's so true. He just did a phenomenal job with that. He was even on the bicycle team, for crying out loud. Been a minute. But Troy became a detective in June of 2013 and has served outstanding in an outstanding manner in that role. He's worked many very serious criminal cases and obtained numerous warrants and arrests and convictions for the most serious crimes possible that have been committed in this county. He's done just a phenomenal job. Everything from working criminal sexual conduct cases to murder cases to just, you think of the worst type of crimes that are committed, and Detective Gardner has worked them. Not only has he worked them, but he's successfully solved them and was able to get warrants issued through the Eaton County Prosecutor's Office. And I'm sure Doug Lloyd can attest to the fine work that Detective Gardner has done in that role. He's received numerous letters of appreciation from citizens and the organizations for his recreational safety classes. Troy had 2 letters of commendation, 4 professional excellence awards, and also a bravery award. He was also our 2018 Deputy of the Year, named by Sheriff Reich. And one last thing, talking about Troy's heart for community involvement, in addition to the recreational safety classes, he participated in every community event that we had, whether it was Shop with a Cop, Fill a Cop Car, and most distinguished in the Shop with a Hero project that we have at Christmas time at Meyer. And in fact, he decided not only to give generously of his time and his finances, but to have his family come alongside. And Kelly and Hayden and Macy are here today. And every year at Meyer, they would join him there and they would help wrap the gifts for the kids. And so he had his family involved in that Sheriff's Office community project. And it's something that I'll never forget. And I know the sheriff won't either. So Troy, thank you for all you've done on behalf of Sheriff Reich. Thank you for everything you've given to the residents of Eaton County.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And just one brief closing comment about these 3 men. You probably listened to the number of years they've served. We're over 75 years of cumulative experience. The amount of training, the amount of knowledge, and the amount of expertise that they've developed being police officers for that period of time is mind-boggling. And when they leave, it leaves just a tremendous gap in our agency. We feel it. We hope that the citizens don't feel it. We hope to be able to find a way to fill that gap, but it's so hard to replace great men like them, great men and women when they retire. And we can only hope that the people that are coming in to fill their slots will develop the same knowledge and abilities and achieve the same level of excellence that all three of these men have achieved in their career. And we're so grateful that you stayed with us for 25 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Under Sheriff Cook. Yeah, the board members don't always get to interact with a lot of the employees, and especially in the sheriff's department. So we want to thank you on behalf of the board members, because without you, public safety would be not as good as it would be in Eaton County. So congratulations on your retirement, and we wish you the best on your next endeavors. Next up, we have another resolution. I'm going to turn this over to Commissioner Rogers.
I got to say a few things first. When I knew I was going to do this today, from one firefighter to another, I am deeply honored to present this to you.
Thank you very much.
And now I get to read it.
Yep.
We're not going to put no fires out right now. Okay. Okay. Whereas the City of Eaton Rapids Fire Department was founded in 1874 and has proudly served the residents of Eaton Rapids and surrounding communities for the past 150 years. And whereas the Eaton Rapids Fire Department has remained steadfast in its commitment to protecting lives, property, and environment, responding to countless emergencies with courage and professionalism, and whereas the men and women of the Eaton Rapids Fire Department emphasize dedication, sacrifice, and bravery, often placing their lives at risk to safeguard the safety of others, and whereas the Eaton Rapids Fire Department has continually adapted to meet the changing needs of the community by embracing advancement in technology, equipment, and firefighting technologies, ensuring that their services remain infantry, and whereas the department's long-standing tradition of volunteerism, civic engagement, and mutual aid has fostered a strong sense of community cooperation, not only within Eaton Rapids, but across the region, and whereas the City of Eaton Rapids and its residents are deeply grateful for the unwavering service and commitment demonstrated by the members of the fire department, both past and present, and have dedicated themselves to this noble profession, and whereas the 150th anniversary of the Eaton Rapids Fire Department presents a unique opportunity to reflect on its storied history, honor those who have served, and celebrate its vital contribution to the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Eaton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby recognize and celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Eaton Rapids Fire Department and extend our deepest appreciation to all its members, past and present, for their extraordinary service to the community. It is further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to the Eaton Rapids Fire Department in recognition of this milestone anniversary and in gratitude for their continued dedication to public service. It is my honor to give this to the Chief of the Eaton Rapids Fire Department.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
I'll support the
Very much. I
resolution.
appreciate it.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All All those opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah, that's one we're going to vote against. That's one.
All right, next up, we have our public comment section. So if you would like to address the board, please step up to the podium and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. All right, seeing none, we're going to move on to committee reports and resolutions. First up, we have Health and Human Services Committee. Commissioner Lotzenheiser.
I'll get us started here, Blake, and be ready. Okay. I appreciate Blake pinch hitting for me. And we do have a couple action items, and I'll turn it over to Blake for any expounding on the meeting. We do have on page 16 a resolution that this has been long in the works of the opioid settlements. And we are now, this is a resolution to adopt the substance use and misuse strategic plan and community assessment recommendation to create the opioid settlement oversight committee. And I would so move the resolution.
Warren.
Moved by Commissioner Lotzenheiser, supported by Commissioner Brayler. Commissioner Mulder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, it's been several years in the works, but I wanted to explain that, you know, we've created a process. We've got money. We didn't go out and try to spend it haphazardly. We created a systematic way of determining how to use those funds. And this is a big part of it, because we've created a settlement committee. It's going to be some citizens and some board members, and we'll send out some RFPs for the use of this money, and then that committee will make the determination as to which of those RFPs are scored the best, and then it'll get kicked back to Health and Human Services committees to determine the proceeding on how to use the money for our people. And, you know, I have to thank Kaylin Meisen and Mila Bergstaller from the Health Department, who were involved in this process for so long, and Amy Delinky from Michigan Association of Counties. They did the lion's share of the work in putting this process together, and I want to thank them for all that they did. So, you know, it's it's a process that we're all involved in, and it was nice to actually follow a process and create a project and a committee that's going to be well thought through. So, thank you much.
Thank you, Commissioner Mulder. Any other comments? All right. Do we have a motion? Yeah, we have, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Very good, thank you. And then on page 77, after you've done all that light reading, you have that oversight committee that Commissioner Mulder just referenced: Kelly Dempsey, Madeline Laurie, Stacy Olney, and these are the better part of 3-year terms. And I would so move this committee.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Lotzenheiser, supported by Commissioner Augustine. Any questions, comments? Commissioner Lundquist. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know that typically when we have folks that nominate themselves from the public to committees, we have some kind of background application so we can get a flavor for who folks are. I recognize some of these names, but do you have any of the background on these folks, just so that the public can kind of know what these folks' relations are to the opioid settlement community? And
My understanding, I don't want to speak too far out of line because Claudine's here to clean it all up, but that I know that they come at this from their own professions of some sort, so.
Yep, so per the resolution, the committee is created from somebody from the public health sector, the public health industry, someone with lived experience with substance abuse, and somebody that is a family member or a friend of somebody with lived substance abuse.
I figured that there was kind of buckets that each person would fill, so yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, because we usually have that as a part of the packet, but just to have that on the record. Appreciate that.
Good question.
And the other members of the committee are going to be commissioners that will be appointed when we do our appointments at the first of the year. So they're going to be standing committees like all of them that we have.
Yep, and they'll all be a report to the Health and Human Services Committee and then the full board. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And that would do it for me. Blake, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Nope, thank you.
All right, that concludes Blake and I's report.
Thank you, Commissioner Lotzenheiser. Next up, we have Public Safety Committee with Commissioner Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Public safety, we had a meeting, and basically one thing I'll just mention real quickly. I do have 5 action items, so I'll get to that quickly. But 911 Center finished their remodeling project, so Kelly Cunningham says, please stop in. Feel free to see the new look. That is complete. For our 5 resolution items tonight, first one I have is resolution to approve the Maple Valley School Resource Officer Agreement. This was a continuation now. It's going to end of the school year 2025, and I would move it.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barnes, supported by Commissioner Pearl Wright. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Go Lions.
All right. Moving on, number 2, resolution to approve the Vermontville Village Police Services Agreement. This is a continuation also, starting October 1st of '24, going to September 30th of 2025, and I would move it.
Support.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barnes, supported by Commissioner Augustine. Any comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
One comment, the Georgia shooting that just happened recently, there was a resource officer in that school. I think, 4 students were shot. As soon as the resource officer engaged on that individual, he did drop the gun and surrender. All right, moving on. Number 3, I have resolution to approve amendment to the Eaton County 911 plan. This was basically administrative finding, basically a wording change. And this was in reference to the dispatch methods, and I would move it.
Moved by Commissioner Barnes, supported by Commissioner DeRosa. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Moving on, number 4, resolution to authorize initial work agreement for fiscal year '25, emergency management performance grant. This is a grant that we applied for in the past. It does help fund 50% of the emergency manager position, and I would move it.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barnes, supported by Commissioner Haskell. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Number 5, last one here is a resolution honoring Prosecutor's Office Canine Advocate Reagan. Reagan joined Eaton County Prosecutor's Office as a canine advocate December 16th, 2013, after being trained by the leader Dogs for the Blind in Rochester, Michigan. He was only the 5th canine advocate working in a Michigan prosecutor's office. Excuse me, currently there's 29. His job was to support crime victims by helping to relieve some of their anxiety at being in a courtroom or court system. He was a black lab mix, served 11 years Eaton County Prosecutor's Office. May he rest in peace. I would move it.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Barnes, supported by Commissioner Haskell. Comments, questions? Prosecutor Lloyd, would you like to say a few words, or?
I would, thank you very much. If I could have Brian come on up here. Everybody come on up. You know, you're all part of, if y'all might indulge me for a moment. First off, most of you, if not all of you, know Brian Surratt. He is an investigator in my office. He's been here since 2003. I don't think any of the officers are left, but they started all in August of '99, and I came here in February of 2000. So I spent the last 25 years working with those guys, and I would like to congratulate them as well. Brian, in effect, did as well because he came to our office in 2003, but he worked for Myers in the loss prevention before that. So those guys that were up in Delta were dealing with Brian as well. So we've grown up with those guys, and we still look young. They're not here, so I'll say it. They don't look so young anymore. I want to introduce you, though. We have Brian and Candace who are here. We have his daughter, Jessie, and her husband, Joe?
Yes.
I haven't got to meet Joe yet, but recently married. That's he belongs to Jesse, and then Tyler. And so, and Tyler is Brian's son. And I wanted them all up here because it's important. When I became prosecutor in 2013, our victim advocates at that time had this great idea that, and it was a new and cool thing to do, that we should get a canine advocate. And of course, I was young and dumb as an elected, so I said, that sounds like a great idea. But then we started looking into it, and it wasn't going to be that easy because one of the first things you had to have was a handler. A handler was going to be responsible for Reagan, and not only at the office, but at home, because with a canine advocate, they're going to come to work just as every employee, but they need a home to go to. So as I looked around the office, I started asking people. Now, Brian had never owned a dog before, but yet he had these 2 kids at home who so badly wanted a dog. And so after Brian and I had several discussions, it became obvious that, and I believe with the approval of everyone in the family, that Reagan would go to Brian and Brian would become his handler. Now, in reality, if you've never owned a dog before, Reagan was perfect because he came pretty much fully trained. And so you didn't really have to go through the puppy problems or all those other issues if you've ever owned a dog before that you go through. And so they were lucky at that, but they were a loving family that took him in. And see, Reagan was special because Reagan had one responsibility, and that was to a victim, mainly children victims. Unfortunately for Brian, that meant that Brian also became a part of that situation and had to listen and be a part of every traumatic event of those children as well. And Brian and Reagan became quite the pair. You as commissioners may not have known it as much, but I think Controller Sobey could probably attest that he was probably the most popular employee out of all 34 departments. He made the rounds on a daily basis, even in the controller's office, and everyone, even though I strictly forbid it, seemed to have some little treat for him. As Jesse and Tyler can attest, after he gained 10 pounds almost immediately, we cut that down to vegetables and fruits. But in my office, it was still cheese peanut crackers, peanut butter crackers. That was the expectation he had when he came to my office alone. But Reagan came to us in 2013 and spent, up until his death, working here in Eaton County. And he's gone and worked with countless victims. And understand, when I talk about Reagan, Reagan was special because he didn't care about a defendant. He didn't care about the court. He didn't care about anyone there except that child witness. And he was so respected that the judges here in Eaton County unanimously said that we are going to allow Reagan to come in the courtroom and be a part of it. And when I say he didn't care, he wasn't there for show. When a child actually had to come in the courtroom, Brian and the child walked together. Brian walked the child and Reagan all the time to court. Reagan was theirs while they were there, and Brian was there to make sure that they both were okay. And Reagan would go into the court and they would set up where the child and Reagan would actually be there, and Reagan would be at the child's feet before the jury ever came in. So the jury never saw him. The jury never knew he was there. And we didn't want the jury to know because Reagan wasn't there for the jury. Reagan was there for the child. And I remember one night early on that Brian texted me late at night after he had been in a trial with Reagan. And it was a bad night. It was a bad day. It was a bad day for that child. That child had spent pretty much the whole day on that witness stand. And Reagan was there with him. And that night, Brian took Reagan home, and Reagan didn't go to eat. He didn't go to drink any water. He literally just walked into his crate and laid down. And it took Brian and I a little bit to figure out what had happened. But in reality, Reagan had been the lifeline for that child that day, and see, the children would hold his leash while they testified. And Reagan was that special conduit that he took on all that pain that that child had to endure. And it was so great that Reagan had no energy left by the time he got home. It took Brian and the family a little bit of time to understand that that was the burden that Reagan accepted to be one of my employees. But the next day he woke up and was his good old happy, lucky self and ready to do it all over again. And that's all we could ever ask for him. And he continued to do that up until his death. And so we felt it was important that for all these years, and especially since in early 2014, I still have a picture from the Lansing State Journal of Brian standing right there with Reagan beside him, of us introducing him to the then Eaton County Board of Commissioners and the services that he did, that we appreciate public safety and we appreciate the board for giving us a moment to recognize Reagan and the services he did to the kids. And I'll add one final note. He was that important that when kids had to come back to the courthouse, even if they weren't here anymore for the criminal case, the first place they stopped was Brian's office to see if he was in with Reagan, just so they could say hello. That was the importance of that canine victim advocate. That was the importance of Reagan. And thank you for allowing us to take this time.
You want to say a few words, Brian? No, I'm good. Thank you. Okay. Well, on behalf of the board, I just want to say thank you very much, because there is no amount of thank yous that can go into what you and your family have done, and the amount of lives that you've touched and helped through this difficult process. So on behalf of the board, thank you very much.
We voted on that, correct? Or did I miss that?
We got a vote, right?
Yeah, I don't think we did.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Barnes. Next up, we have Information Technology and Communications with Commissioner DeRosa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Information Technology and Communications met on September the 4th, and we had 3 reports come to us. The first from Communications Director Logan Bailey, and he presented his department's monthly report and reminded us that our September newsletter is now out. We heard from Deputy Director of Technology Services Nathan Nybert. He presented the department's monthly report also, and updated us on the youth facility technology, and apparently it's all installed. And lastly, we heard from Liz Walby, our technical services specialist, and she gave a presentation regarding the new agenda and minutes program that we're using tonight, and we will use from this point on. So we thank you for your reports. We had no action items, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner DeRosa. Next up, we have Public Works and Planning Committee with Commissioner Rogers.
Public Works and Planning didn't have any actions either, but we did have, I think, a very worthwhile and interesting meeting because Bill Hendren from MSU Extension was present and gave a semi-annual report. A non-compliance hearing was held for a waste hauler who is not in compliance with the Eaton County Solid Waste Ordinance. The Resource Recovery Department will be issuing a civic infraction ticket to that company, and the new Parks Director, Alex, was present and gave his first report. This discussion was held in reference to some restructuring in the department. And that completes my report, unless there's any questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. Next up, we have Ways and Means Committee with Commissioner Mulder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner Rogers, for pinch hitting for me. So, I do have I guess I should bring that up. Okay. What happened is Treasurer Robinson actually was present at the meeting and provided a quarterly investment report with an update on the foreclosure fund that was given at the same time. The last labor contract was presented and recommended for approval, so that now all 7 labor contracts have been successfully completed. That's what I'm questioning.
That should have been on the agenda, yes.
Yeah, I don't see it here.
It is not on the agenda.
We have reviewed the contract at Ways and Means, and I would move it.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner DeRosa. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
A resolution to approve the budget amendments was also presented. And what were the budget resolutions, Commissioner Sobey?
So the,
I mean, controller.
Got demoted.
Thanks, Blake, it wasn't me.
I'm not sure that's not a demotion.
okay, well, first of all, I will note that at Ways and Means, we did ask for approval to add any amendments. So there are 2 groups, 2 sets of amendments that are in your packet. The first was, that's cleanup at the end of the year mostly. County clerk elections, we had some revenue come in for the early voting, and we chose to do it instead of contractually as payroll, so we needed to make that amendment. Sheriff had a couple totaled vehicles, and the insurance proceeds came in, and the repairs were paid off with that. We also had Parks and Recreation. We had an interim director for a period of time. It was actually Claudine and Chad, and we needed to do an amendment to cover that cost. The American Rescue Plan was the rollover request from last fiscal year that we needed to complete. And you'll see on the second page, when it talks about health insurance and drain, that we're going to use the American Rescue Plan Fund to cover our overages up to $100,000 for health insurance, or for drain, and then $185,000 for health insurance overages. And the new ones that we added are related to, again, cleanup. We had a program that was started last fiscal year for foreclosure prevention by Treasurer Robinson, and that was done with ARPA funds. So we needed to approve the final contractual services with those 2 entities. And then opioid settlement, we had a few more settlements that came in, and this is just the revenue to recognize that. No expenditures yet.
So I would move the budget amendments, and including the ones that weren't at Ways and Means. the
Support.
couple here that were presented.
Thank you.
Support, or moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner
Rogers?
Rogers?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I would move the claims and purchases.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner Lotzenheiser. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And the big dog in the show is page 132. 132. That would be the budget resolution for the upcoming year, along with all of the tax levies that go along with it. So we had a hearing last week for the public, and we presented the budget to them, took into account everything that was presented to us, and I would move the next cycle's budget.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner DeRosa. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And as a result of passing a new budget, a resolution to approve employee economic policy changes for non-union employees is being presented and was included in the board packets. So, you know, we have 2 types of employees here at the county. We have, well, 3 counting electeds, but we have represented who are paid according to their bargaining units, and we have the non-represented who are the other half of the county employees. And this particular resolution will institute their ongoing and upcoming pay cycles and the necessary changes with steps and all the things that they understand and we don't actually get into the weeds with. So, and I would move this resolution.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner Rogers. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And the last thing, there was a letter that HR Director Dawson put together for one of the union groups, and I think that was not at Ways and Means, and so I think it needs to be explained as to what this is. It is revenue neutral, but I think it needs explanation, and I thought she'd be sitting up there.
Well, we were at another meeting that ran right up to the counter, so thank you for having me. So this letter of agreement is allowing a transition from 8-hour shifts to 10-hour shifts for members of the command unit and lieutenant and above. Contractually, it's already allowed for that to happen. But what we found was if you do a mid-year shift, 8-hour people get their holidays front-loaded in the beginning, and 10-hour and 12-hour shifts get double time on holidays with no front load. When we bargained, we eliminated the personal leave, which is where those holiday hours used to be stored. So to make everything easier, because personal leave is no longer going to be a contractual function January 1st, this letter of agreement allows them to go to 10-hour shifts from now till the end of the year, but for weeks that they're holiday, they're an 8-hour shift. So we don't have to contend with taking hours back from them and then paying them double time on the holiday. It's easier for everybody, the sheriff's administration as well as our office to administer the provision. So it doesn't do any budgetary changes, it just makes it a seamless transition, and then in January 1st, we'll eliminate the personal leave.
So this is really just cleanup.
Yep. Significant enough that you all have to vote on it, but it's cleanup.
Okay, I'll move it.
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Mulder, supported by Commissioner Augustine. Any questions? Commissioner Brayler.
You say it isn't going to have any implications in terms of the budget, but does it change what they may receive in terms of overtime pay? Are they going to be less, more, is it just a wash?
It's a wash. It will be as if for holiday purposes, they're on their 8-hour shifts, so they will still get paid contractually the same time and a half if they have to come in and work a holiday. 10-hour shifters normally would get double time for those holidays. So the reason for the transition on this is we're going to treat them the way they elected their schedules at the beginning of the year through the rest of the year. And then going forward, they'll have to pick their schedules in January and not be allowed to change them mid-year, is the discussions we're having with the sheriff's office.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Mulder. That brings us to our second limited public comment. If you'd like to address the board, please approach the podium and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Seeing none, we will move on to Administrator's Report.
Yes, sir. First of all, I want to say thank you for adopting the budget very much. I really want to say thank you to all of the departments that worked so hard on their budgets this year. I want to recognize their leadership as they went through this tough time, and we know there may be tougher times to come. The presentations they all made on July 26th really, I think, gave you and the public insight into what they do every day, and I know that they didn't express everything they do because there's no way to do that. I just want to say thank you to them for that work. I also want to talk a little bit about the work that my office, the board, and elected officials have been doing on explaining the ballot proposal. It's been a interesting process, but we have been meeting with local officials and doing some public meetings and meeting with individuals as well. We've actually had 23 meetings that we've attended. Those are just the recorded ones, and I know we've added some other ones, but we've gone through the financials. Members of my office, specifically Ben Logan, Melissa and Claudine have been attending all of these meetings, or most of the meetings, and preparing for them and making sure that we're able to answer the tough questions. There have been a lot of tough questions, which I like. Sometimes people, you know, it's difficult, but I like it because it gives us more feedback on going back to our FAQs that we have on the website to ensure that we have those questions answered as well. So keep those coming to members of the public and to any communities. I'll recognize Prosecutor Lloyd for the work that he's done. I think he's still here. He has been to, I think, all of the meetings except, well, one or two, we gave him the night off. It was a struggle, but he won, so we gave him the night off. He's doing an awful lot to ensure that the residents know what's going on, what public safety really means. So when we talk public safety, we know we're not just talking about police services, we're talking about the prosecutor's office and the court system as well. With all of his years of service, he's also been able to speak to the entire budget and represent all of the employees in the discussions that he's had with locals and communities and community members. Sheriff Reich, his command staff and deputies have been to several of the meetings. They explain their budget, all of the struggles they're experiencing, and things that can be lost next year without additional revenue. I want to thank Chairman Mott, but I think really want to thank his wife for the countless hours.
Watching.
Well, I hope she's watching because we apologized to her, but then we got a stern look from her. So we do appreciate it very much that you give his time to us. He's been attending all of the meetings. He comes to our office when we want to talk to him, when we're preparing for meetings, throughout the budget process. He's there all the time. He's on the phone all the time with us, texting with us, emailing with us. Thank you very much for all of that. And I'm sure I missed everything else you do too. Great leadership. Members of this board, you've been attending your local communities, and many of you have been going to other meetings as well in other communities because you do have special information or historic information. I'll say the Financial Stability Work Group with Commissioner Brailer, Commissioner Augustine, and Commissioner Mulder have done a lot of work to get the information out to the public. One thing that I noticed, and I think my office can speak to this and maybe the commissioners, when we go to these meetings, to the local community meetings, it's interesting that they don't know what we do. They honestly don't know what we do. So when you stand up and you tell them we do this, they're surprised. And we talk to them afterward, and they honestly don't know that the county provides a service, or they may not understand that they could get additional information from us. I had a meeting with, after one of the meetings last week that we were at, and it was, hey, could we come in and talk to your financial director about the budget and actually to compare how we do our budget? Sure, definitely we would do that. There's a lot I think that we could learn from each of the communities, and a lot they could learn from us. It's just been a really good exercise, I think, in meeting them and collaborating with them and just getting the information out about what the county does. So has been a great experience. I don't remember the number that we have left. It's at least 10, plus some other community meetings in town halls that we're doing. So thank you, and thank you to all of you who have attended. Appreciate you all very much. Oh, and our county clerk, I left her off, darn it. Thank you for your help. That's it.
All right, thank you, Controller Sobey. And to that point, I want to make an announcement that we are having a town hall next Tuesday at the Charlotte Community Library at 6 p.m. So if you're watching at home, please, if you have any questions, be there. Ask friends to come. And anyone here, please be there, and we'll answer any questions and explain what this is all about. So thank you. And I also want to thank staff for Controller Sobey and her office, because they're giving their free time for anybody that wants information. And as elected, we're going out there and saying, hey, please, we're asking people to vote for this. But they're there to give any information that the public may want, and that some details that maybe we don't necessarily know off the top of our heads. So I want to appreciate the time, extra time that you guys are putting in. So thank you very much. So next up, we have unfinished business, or no, commissioner comments. Any commissioners have comments? Commissioner Holmes.
Yeah, just really repeat what Connie just shared. I've been to 2 or 3 with the staff there. In one township, the treasurer was like, previously, she said, looking at these numbers, how can this be? How can you go from this to this? And I watched them listen to the staff's presentation, Eaton Rapids Township, and really see them start to understand what they didn't know. And the ones I've been to by myself, 3 or 4, you get people maybe come up or out in the public. I asked one gal, you know, have you been following this? And she says, no, I don't follow any of that. She says, my kids are in school, I follow that, and that's it. So there's people out there, and I refer them, say, you're going to make your choice, do it based on information. Just don't make a choice. And that's the best I think I've come up with until. Thank you.
Commissioner Rogers.
Excuse me, but I may ramble just a little bit, because, I mean, what you're talking about is communications and knowing one another, and when you know somebody, you work much better with them. Having been a township official and on the MTA board, when I was there, we had a county association. We had meetings every month except 2. We had information at that for all the township people. They don't do that anymore. There's some township officials that don't even know one another. And I mean, this is a sad situation, because if you're going to get involved, they get said, oh, I didn't know it was all of that. Well, duh. So, no, I really appreciate all of you here. And I mean, we need more communications, and we need some township people that need to get off of their you-know-what. Excuse me.
That's her problem. Anybody else? Commissioner Drosha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
The Lansing chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution are inviting everyone in Eaton County to attend a grave marking ceremony. I'll read this as it's. It says, Betsy Wall Allen, the daughter of Patriot John Wall and his wife Sally Riker Wall, will be honored as Daughter of a Patriot at 10:30 a.m. the South Center Eaton Cemetery, 5420 East Clinton Trail, Charlotte, Michigan. That's at the corner of Ackley, M50, and Long. There's a little triangle that's formed out there as M50 crosses Ackley and Long highways. In addition to that, that's at 10:30 a.m. this coming Saturday. In addition to that, there will be another cemetery recognition. It's Patriot John Wall and Sally Wall will be honored at 1:30 p.m. at the Chapel Cemetery, which is located on Michigan Avenue between Chapel Road and South Deering Road, approximately 2.5 miles east of Parma, Michigan. And that is at 1:30 p.m. So if you'd like to attend, contact the Daughters of the American Revolution, and they would like you to RSVP.
Commissioner Haskell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a resolution for this. I'm hoping that we can maybe introduce one in October, but September 15th through October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month. For anyone that doesn't know, Lansing.org has a really nice little tidbit on that about different festivals that are in the area. You might even see your Lansing Lugnuts rebrand as the Lansing Locos, which is kind of a fun little change they do. But yeah, just want to make sure everyone's aware and maybe check it out. Old Town usually has some pretty cool stuff.
Anyone else? Nope. All right. Next up, unfinished business? None? Old business?
None?
And new business?
None.
All right, with that, we are adjourned to Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. Thank you all.